I'm Judy Joseph, and this is History of Success. And the theme today is the incredible history and success of vocational and career technical education. Vocational and career technical education. The fact is that it has a lasting impact on our entire community. Essex County, the city of Lynn, a lasting impact, great resilience, and perseverance is the name for vocational and technical education. We're going to look at some pictures because the first Lynn High School was located on 50 High Street. And 50 High Street in Lynn, it was built in 1850, and it's on a historic site, and it's part of the National Register of Buildings. So we're going to look at some of those pictures, and this is it. I wanted to start with that because this building has been repurposed several times as part of our history. Again, it was the first city high school, and then manual and industrial arts were offered as part of the academic high schools. And then after that, Lynn English and Lynn Classical gave their high school diploma. My dad went to Lynn English High School and took Forging and Foundry as a major at this particular location. English High School at that time was closely located to High Street, and of course it's now on Goodrich Street in a different location. The fact of having a railroad. In 1850, the railroad from Boston, Revere Beach, and Lynn was a critical component to being able to get these shoes back into the area of Boston. The building that we saw, the one on 50 High Street, is labeled Girls Incorporated, and it's listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. Again, along with the theme that strong, smart, bold. That career theme is being taught here to give the girls confidence as to the careers that they are going to be choosing. As early as 1928, the voters improved the Lynn Independent Industrial Shoemaking School, one of the first vocational institutions of its kind in the entire nation. Enrollment went from 31 students to 245, and it was, again, operated in this historic old Lynn High School building on 50 High Street, but a key anchor of vocational education, tied directly, though, to Lynn's signature industry, the Lynn Independent Industrial Shoemaking School from 1924 to 1974. Again, the Lynn Independent Industrial Shoemaking School. And I have Tom McGee, who had a grandmother that took part in that industrial school. Tom, do you want to share that with us?
Thank you, Judy. It's great to be here. My grandmother actually, as a teenager, worked in the shoe industry in the city of Lynn in the early 20th century, and as part of that, worked and really became very active in the union movement, unionizing the shoe industry. So she was not only a teenage worker in the factories in the city, but got very involved in the union movement, and then actually took that experience and was involved in the Roosevelt administration in the 1930s. Different kind of jobs related to that. So she had a strong connection to both working there and the importance of the training and safety and what that meant to her and her fellow employees moving forward. So she, growing up, that was part of her story, and she shared it with us as we were young in terms of what it meant to her and how important it was to be able to be trained, learn the importance of the work you did, be able to do it in a safe manner, and then the government's role in making sure that was a key piece of what was part of the industry.
Again, though, the Lynn became not just another New England city, but a global hub for shoe production. By the early 1900s, it led the world in shoe manufacturing. The world in shoe manufacturing. Really hard to believe. Tom McGee. Tom McGee is the chair of the MBTA, director and chair of the MBTA. Am I correct, Tom?
MBTA Board of Directors.
MBTA
yes.
Board of Directors.
Yeah.
And we have with us Tony Dunn. To my left, Tony Dunn, director of the E-Team Machinist Training Program at Lynn Tech.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Rick Starbutt. Rick Starbutt is the alumni of Lynn Tech, which is very important for today's show because we're going through the history of vocational ed, and the owner of Rick's Auto Collision Sales and Service. Yes, and so these are my very hard-working guests here today, and we're going to go on with the shoemaking a bit, so because the city of Lynn, the world manufacturers of shoes. Hundreds of factories were Lynn, and millions of pairs of shoes were made and built on immigrant labor, and innovations like Jan Metzliger's lasting machine. That's Metzliger's lasting machine. He was able to increase production tremendously as an inventor of that machine. The core philosophy behind manual and industrial arts was hands-on development. Hands-on development, understanding the materials, safety, preparation for apprenticeships. Apprenticeships, a very, very important part, even today. But at the very beginning, there were apprenticeships coming from, I was talking to the Carpenters Union, and they have a very strong apprenticeship going there. The IBEW, certainly General Electric, for many years has had apprenticeships, and they are a very important part of career training and training on the job. Certainly the number one apprenticeship that I know, General Electric, as we're looking at their engine, the old start of the General Electric coming from the museum picture, one of the finest apprenticeship programs that I know in manufacturing. We also had forging and blacksmithing, foundry practice on metal casings, machine shop, metalworking, patent making, drafting, mechanical, electrical, and power instruction, printing and graphic trades, carpentry and building trades, because Lynn was a manufacturing city, home to machine shops and foundries, industrial economy, and especially shoemaking. And it laid the foundation for the modern Lynn Vocational and Technical Institute. In 1948, Lynn Trade was established, and it became the third high school in the city. You had Lynn English, Lynn Classical, and they offered the vocational courses. But now, 1948, after World War II, 1948, Lynn Trade was finally able to give its own high school diploma. And so the men, and it was a male-only school, the men who came back from World War II and needed a career, this school was set up particularly for them as an all-male school. And after World War II, the voters established this school to offer men who had served in the armed forces an opportunity, again, to gain a career. This was one of the most successful schools, highlighting many outstanding businessmen and leaders in our community. And I have a quote, Mike Alaconis, who for many years is a Lynn Trade grad, and I asked for a quote from him, and he said, and he, by the way, he was the manager for many years of Essex Engineering. He hired many co-op students from me. His son, who's also a graduate from Lynn Tech, he is now the production manager at Essex Engineering. Mike Alaconis said he would like to thank his parents. It's the best thing that ever happened to him. He thanks them, and he thanks the teachers at Lynn Trade High School for the excellent job that they did in giving him a lifelong career. And again, that's very important in this history of vocational education. Okay, You know, the Lynn Trade School was often referred to as a reform school. And until we were able to shine a light, the Lynn Tech Alumni Association, especially when we first started in 1989, when we first incorporated, the Lynn Tech Alumni Association, many of our political people, your dad was there, Walter Boverini, they all opened that program to show all of the people, and they were almost all from Lynn Trade High School. All of those people had incredible careers. They had gone to some of the best colleges in the country. MIT, Johns Hopkins, the Sandra Day O'Connor Health Law School. I'd never even heard of some of these amazing schools that they had gone to. But until we set up this alumni association, the light had not been shown on the Lynn Trade High School, and they were a fantastic school. I thank them, as well as Mike Alaconis and all of us, for the wonderful men that came back from the war and were able to start their career from Lynn Trade High School. Lynn Trade High School's past laid the foundation for Lynn Tech High School, and it moved to its current site on Neptune Boulevard. The first graduation ceremony took place in 1972 from the old Lynn Trade, and it was here at 80 Neptune Boulevard, blending academic education with career technical training. And today, students explore. They do an exploratory in the 8th grade and then choose a particular shop. And today's program includes some amazing shops like advanced manufacturing, automotive, biotechnology, graphic communication, early childhood. It covers the gamut of career trading. Again, Lynn Tech's roots now connect not only to colleges, careers, owners of businesses, but to credentials as well, because early college now is part of all of the high schools in Lynn. Again, Title IX. Title IX was a major turning point for vocational education. Nationwide, it banned discrimination based on women, because women were not allowed in the Lynn Trade High School at that time. But today, because all public funding comes towards the idea that careers are open for both men and women, I was the first. And one of the people that I have to thank is the McGee family, to become a counselor at Lynn Tech High School, and added on the director of cooperative education. An amazing time for Lynn Vocational Technical High School. I now want to turn to my guests, because I would like to start with Rick. Rick is an alumni and an owner of Rick's Auto Collision. One of the questions I have is, after I put you on the co-op program, how is it that you went into business so fast? You had a co-op job, you took it full time, but you were able to start a business faster than any of the college graduates that I know. How did that happen?
A lot of it's right place, right time, but a lot of it's hard work too. Paying attention, learning from those above you. You know, when you start working on co-op, you come in at an entry level, and you go in, do whatever they ask of you. And I used to say it to my students when I was teaching, you know, if you can do these basic things and do it every day on time, sky's the limit. And that's the fact. If you keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut, except to ask, you know, questions, then, you know, sky's the limit.
How long did it take after the Volkswagen training program?
Well, the job you put me in was the Volkswagen Jeep dealership on Boston Street, Lengate Motors, which is no longer there. Great place to work. I left there when they got slow, went to a place doing restorations on exotic cars, Mercedes, and a lot of the exotics. And from there, I went to work for a shop in Saugus, who guy opened his own shop. I went with him and wound up buying him out when I was 19 in Revere.
And is that when you bought the building in the land there on Revere, on the
Not
marina?
where I am now. It was at the end of the Marsh Road by BJ's.
Okay.
When I first started out, it was a small shop, and he wasn't doing too well, and I was able to borrow some money and dove in, but it took a lot. It was going to work at 8 in the morning. Sometimes you didn't get home till 2 in the morning. But
the theme in this program is that vocational education has a lasting impact on students' lives, on people's lives. And in this case, how long have you been in the trade?
Well, business-wise, we just hit our 43rd anniversary last week. But I started when I was 15 as a sophomore at Lynn Tech in the auto body program. Had great teachers.
A lasting impact, would you not?
Oh, absolutely.
46 years.
43. Yeah.
43 years in the field. That's amazing.
But a lot of it's the impact that your teachers have on you too. And for a student enrolled at Lynn Tech, they're spending almost half their high school life with their shop teachers. So the shop teachers have a huge impact on their kids' lives, and just some of the one-liners that would stick with you forever that you learn from your teachers.
Now, how are you connected, in addition to being the owner of a business, how are you connected to vocational technical and career technical education? Because you're not only an owner of a business, you were faculty, you were politically involved. I mean, you touched every base. Well,
a lot of it is you're never done learning. Every industry grows with technology, and no matter what industry you're in, you have to dive into that industry, learn from your peers, get involved with trade associations, take every bit of training that you can so you're on top of your game. And then I was fortunate enough to recognize what I got from Lynn Tech, which was my career. So when it came time to start growing my business with employees, I went back and co-op students, working through you, Judy. That's when.
How many did you hire from me?
Oh, quite a few, and some of them have their own businesses now and are doing extremely well.
Yes.
Leonardo Rodriguez is one that comes to mind.
We did a television show with Leonardo.
First generation immigrants from the Dominican Republic, and just a great story. I had him. I had his younger brother, who's now a Lynn police officer. Leonardo owns his business with another one of my former students. They've acquired the real estate where the shop is located, and they're another group that's sky's the limit.
Lasting impact of vocational technical and career technical education, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
You have the real stories to tell. Okay, my third guest, but I didn't want to leave the shoe school without touching on, again, grandmother, family, long history, and it made an impact on your whole family.
I think, the legacy, you laid it out a little bit, the legacy of the manufacturing and the workforce, really, that created the jobs and created the shoes, and we talked a little bit about the General Electric and the apprenticeship program, creating those opportunities through training, in-house training, apprenticeships, and then moving on to the school opportunity. And so my grandmother had an opportunity through working in the industry and then becoming really engaged in how could she create that opportunity for more people in a way that created better wages and created safety in the shoe factory, in the industry, in the manufacturing industry. So it's how do we work together over the years to create those kind of opportunities. And she left a legacy in the hard work that she put in, and really understood that there was creating the training that allowed people to find good jobs at good wages really changed lives, and that comes through the kind of training that's available. And as the shoe school, as the tech school, the beginnings of it began. You laid that out a little bit. Those opportunities grow, and as that school has grown and it's opened its doors to more than the original men that came out of World War II, it has changed. It changes families, and you've seen it. I think all of us here have seen, the ability to get into a job, get the training you need, and then build off of that and create the opportunity for yourselves and your family. So my grandmother was kind of the impetus growing up, that being involved in the political process to make sure that those opportunities were real, inspired my dad, who then built on that in his career, but really left that kind of legacy and history to us as his children to understand that creating opportunity across the board, makes our communities better, but changes lives, changes families, and gives people an ability to raise their families and for their children to learn the kind of hard work, but just as importantly, the opportunity for training and education can do transform lives. And we've seen it in the city of Lynn throughout our history. The General Electric has, growing up in the 50s, there was thousands of people that worked there and got that opportunity both through the General Electric working here, but through the apprenticeship program that created those skills that they could then build their lives on. So it's that's a piece of it. How can we continue to support the kind of training to make sure it's available for everyone? And that, to me, is the legacy to continue to build on, that everybody can have that opportunity. And Rick, you mentioned it, that you saw it directly with the people that you worked with, giving those families the opportunity to learn and grow and build their own businesses.
Right.
And we have my third guest, hard-working guest. 30 years he's been involved. 30 years, lasting impact on you. Tony Dunn, the program director for E-Team Machinist Training Program at Lynn Tech. And am I correct? You are connected with North Shore Community College, and I have a famous name in that college, and we're going to show that also. We'll get back to Tom on that, but am I correct? You are connected with North Shore. You are located at Lynn Tech High School.
Correct.
But you are connected also to North Shore Community College.
We're part of an association called AMTEP, the Advanced Manufacturing Training Extension Partnership. And it's located out of Salem through the Workforce Investment Board in the city of Salem. And North Shore is a partner in that, as well as the E-Team and Essex Tech up in Danvers.
And Essex Tech and Lynn Tech and North Shore Community College, all advanced manufacturing grants from General Electric?
General Electric is a co-funder in what we do. We get money from the state of Massachusetts, going all the way back to Tom was our angel for a number of years. Saw the benefit to the people in the city of Lynn. As we go back to Pat McManus was the mayor of Lynn when we first got started, and we have a long history of servicing adult that are unemployed or underemployed. When we first got started, we started through the partnership of Essex County Community Organization, a faith-based organization located at St. Stephen's Memorial Church, and the IUE 201 Union located at GE in Lynn. A lot of the members of the organizations were the same people, and they looked around and saw that the city of Lynn had a real economic development problem. And there were like two Lynns. There were the people that worked at GE and the people that didn't, and there was a big economic disparity there. So they looked around and they said, where are the jobs? And what they found was there were at that time 500 or more jobs that were unfilled in the local shops in the local area. So they said, if we start a training program, will you hire? We reached out to the employers in those shops, and they said, absolutely, we'll hire. And so we got together and formed a committee with union and non-union shops, and that's with Lynn Tech as well, and we've been going strong ever since.
We live in an unusual time. Artificial intelligence is definitely here for businesses. But what skills are employers looking for in graduates today?
Well, dependability, first of all. It's the first thing they ask for, is someone who can show up every day and be on the job and produce product for them. They want to know that people are dependable and that they are trainable. because every shop is a little different. They have their own proprietary systems, different brand names of machines and all that sort of thing. But they want to teach them their way anyways, but they want them to have the basic knowledge that's come down through the ages of 250 years of machining knowledge that we try and teach in a year now. And get them started so that they have the confidence and they have the creativity and ability and a strong work ethic to go out there and make their way and continue to learn for the rest of their career.
How do vocational schools help sustain Lynn's industrial economy? Our economy is critical and key, especially when inflation hits families. How does what part do vocational schools play in the Lynn's economy?
Well, there's a variety of trades that LVTI teaches, manufacturing just being one of them. And our trade has proportionately high wages for a lower level of education. You don't need a degree. You don't even need a high school diploma, although we stress that, to get into machining and to succeed in machining. All you need is that work ethic and the ability to be creative in what you do and what you learn. We used to have a lot more shops in the city of Lynn than we do right now.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, everyone supported GE. And when GE started to go downhill in terms of population, then a lot of these shops moved out, and they're in outlying communities. There's still over 450 shops, machine shops, within the 128 area, and there's over 2,000 inside of 495. So the need is still there, and you know, when people come to us, we grill them pretty good in our recruiting methodology, and we want to know that they are going to commit to themselves and that they're going to have a career and not just a job in manufacturing when they graduate from our program.
Why is hands-on training still critical in today's economy? Essex Aggie, again, 1,800 applicants for only 550 to 560 positions. Why is hands-on training critical today?
Because people make machines. Ideas make the market. If you can't be creative, then there is no market for the future. AI can only do so much and only should do so much, all right? And you know, with additive technology, 3D printing, that kind of thing, they sounded the death knell for manufacturing, and it hasn't happened. All right, it's gotten more streamlined, more computer-based, and speeded up quite a bit. And more productivity has been jammed into the things that one person can do in a machine shop. But you're always going to need that person to create the next generation of tools. All right, you need to come up with new ideas constantly, new methods for the machines to do things. Every day you can go on YouTube or something like that and see a brand new technology. But there's always an operator there that's running that machine and is there for when the machine goes wrong, because machines don't work perfectly. All right, that's why Rick has a job. And we're there because we're the brains behind the computer, all right? The machine won't do anything unless you have a person there that knows what they're doing and knows how to program that machine and knows how to program that part and get it run. And that's never going to change. Virtually everything you touch in this whole studio and in your daily life is made by a machinist, either directly or indirectly, and that's not going to change.
Okay, that for sure, there's not enough vocational schools out there to serve the needs that are in our community today. Rick, why did you choose vocational schools instead of a traditional high school?
Back when I was in middle school, I went to Cobb Junior High School, which is no longer there, but the next door was the original Lynn trade. and they had turned that into a vocational junior high school. And so I said I wanted to check that out and see what that was about, and got to go in and, you know, in the 8th and 9th grade, take machine shop, plumbing, machine shop, electrical, metal construction, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. And at that time, tech was the new school. Tech was the school with the pool, you know, brand new, and it was close to where I lived, and I applied, got accepted, and the rest is history. But it was a great opportunity for me, and it worked out incredibly well.
Your major was auto body.
Yes.
And what did a typical day at Lynn Tech, what happened in a particular day?
Well, back when I was there, the main focus was your trade, not necessarily academics the way that it is now. And, you know, during your time there, Judy, I'm sure you saw how much it had changed. But 1 week, the full week, was spent in the shop. The class week, 4 of your 8 periods a day was spent related to your shop. So 3/4 of your high school life was trade related. And now that's backed off so that more academics, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either, could fill that time. But it's not for everyone, and you have to be somebody who keeps your mind open for both the trade and the academics, because you know, those days where they say, oh, you know, he's not the brightest kid, but he's good with his hands, those days are gone. As Tony said, everything is so computer oriented and high tech, and I don't care what trade it is, you need to have the academics behind you to help support what you do in your trade.
Who was a teacher that made a lasting impact on your life?
I'd say for most of us at that time, Rolly St. Pierre, who I actually had the opportunity to go back and teach a couple of years with. He was quite a guy.
And that brings me to a question. How is it that you decided to come back to that school and be a teacher yourself?
Mal wouldn't leave me alone. He was relentless, and he kept saying, you gotta try it, you gotta try it, you gotta try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay with it. And at that point, I had taken in Jim LeBlanc as a partner, and ironically, Jim worked at the GE, and he was part of those massive layoffs back in the mid-'80s. And
all my machinists came back to me to find them a new job, and we did, but it was tough.
At that time, they had a workers' assistance program. Jim had worked in a body shop prior to going to the GE, and they paid me to train him in another trade.
Wow.
And and he was with me for years, and ultimately I sold him part of the company, which afforded me the opportunity to go to Tech, and spent almost 14 years there teaching.
Lasting impact of vocational ed. What skills did you learn that you still use today, that you learned in a vocational school?
I think Tony touched on a lot of it. It's being dependable, it's having a good work ethic, and you got to be a lifelong learner. You're never done learning.
I know the answer to this question myself. How quickly were you able to find work after graduating high school?
Right away. You got me my first job.
That was the answer. Okay. Did the vocational education change the trajectory of your life?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The reason that I asked you for a job in a body shop, my senior year in high school, I said, I'm never going to do this. I'm going to college. And I was going to be an air traffic controller I was going to Daniel Webster College in New Hampshire, who had a program for that, and that was the year my dad was retiring from the GE, and didn't have the money to help me out with college. I was afraid of going into debt, and it's nothing back then compared to what it is now. And that's when I went up to your office and said, I need a job in a body shop. And I will never forget, and I tell the story a million times, that you sat me down and you opened up the yellow pages and started calling body shops in the area until you landed on Lynn Motors and got me a job.
Okay. Misconceptions. All of you know that people have about vocational education. There are many misconceptions out there, but things are changing and turning around. What misconception do you think, Rick?
Parents didn't want their kids going to vocational schools for a myriad of reasons. It's dirty work. You're not going to make any money. And then things recently, right? You have to go to college, and now you're starting to see, it's come full circle when you see what it costs to go to college. The job opportunities aren't what they were coming out of college.
And you owe a fortune.
Right, and so, back when I first got on the school committee, we were having a hard time attracting kids into tech.
I know.
And now they're getting 1,000 applicants for 300 openings. And that's how much it is changed. And the attitudes have changed. And you got people like Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs on TV all the time, focusing on that, pressing that. There's so many job openings in the trades, and people aren't filling them. I think it's starting to turn, and I think for what Tony does.
I was going to ask Tony after.
Especially people who can't find employment or who are underemployed in other areas come to the E-Team and get that career, and it's life-changing.
Tony, do you want to add to the misconceptions?
I get students. I have a student that has an engineering degree in my class right now. He's a waiter. He's doing food service. Wow. It's not the first person like that. I've had people from the medical field. I've had a ton of people from retail. They all come and they have no future. But I wanted to say that when you come to a vocational school and you work in a shop with a teacher in that shop, that's somebody from the industry that's teaching you. That's right. Somebody like Rick, who grew up and doing the work and using the tools and understanding what it takes to succeed in that environment. It's not your standard person that went to college and got a teaching degree and knows math and knows history and knows all these other academic subjects. It's really hard to find someone who's making money in the trade and doing well that wants to give that up and come back and teach in a vocational setting. So you wind up with a lot of old people like me that have gone through and had a career. I did 30 years in GE and several other shops. I started in United Shoe, which is Cummings Center in Beverly. USM. And so I have that history behind me. I didn't go to Lynn Trade. I went to Lynn English. So I had to learn on the job.
On the job training.
Everything I learned on the job.
One of the typical ways.
And that's the hard way. I actually have a degree. I was able to go to school nights while I was working at General Electric, and they helped me. And I got my degree at Emerson College that way. It took me 6 years. But
what was your major?
TV.
Really? Wow.
Mass comm, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went that route. I thought that I was going to be a camera operator at some point, and that was my goal. But I was working in the trade the whole time. I had that ability to do that, and I raised a family. I bought houses. I bought cars. I took care of my kids, all because I had a good job in the trade, and I was continuing to learn and continuing to utilize that trade as a career. All right, you go for a job. You're working day to day. You're living paycheck to paycheck. I work with Mike Pickering at Lynn Tech. He's the teacher there, and Mike he's fond of saying, I've done this my whole life. I've never been out of work a day in my life, and that's what we try and instill in the people that we bring into the program. And I think that's still true and is going to be true going forward.
Okay, what would you tell a young person in Lynn considering vocational education today? Could I start with you, Tom? What would you tell them?
I think we're talking about a little bit, and it's changed. But if you get a chance to go to Lynn Tech, or you get in now with the lotteries, it's a different ballgame. There was a long list of applicants for limited, and that's across the board.
Lucky to get in.
That's across the board, not just at Lynn Tech, or it's across the board in technical schools. Is you have an opportunity, one, to learn a trade, but just as importantly, there is the academic piece. You're getting both of it now. So you learn a trade, and then you build your skill set, and you can either get into the trade, or it also opens doors to other opportunities beyond the trades, but based on the trade knowledge you gain as well as the academic knowledge. A lot of students go, I know, out of Lynn Tech to some of the great colleges in the country to build off that dual education they're getting at Lynn Tech. I think you asked a question earlier, and it's important to lay out. We talk what's happening with AI. What do you gain from the building trades? It's not just some of the work that both Tony and Rick have talked about, but the building trades, electricians, plumbers, iron workers, the education and training you need to get into those, and you get into apprenticeship programs. You learn it at the high school stage, and those jobs are lifelong jobs, and those jobs aren't going away. People need an electrician in their houses. People need plumbing. There's construction that will always be happening. So you're opening up opportunity for your lifetime, both with, and I think, like I said earlier, you're getting that academic knowledge now at Lynn Tech, and you're also getting this, opening your eyes up to the opportunities in the building trades, whatever that might be. Back to the E-Team program, and I think a lot of doing this 30 years, which I can't believe, Tony, right. But there was those jobs were available, and they weren't able to fill the jobs, and there were the students that have come through over the years that were looking for that connection to something that they weren't finding out in the workforce. And the E-Team program was able to bring them together through almost a year-long program and connect them with jobs with wages and benefits that were transformative, that were life-changing. So I think the reason you're seeing so many people looking at the technical schools now is parents and young people more and more understand that they have a real chance to do something great by getting into these schools. And the challenge now is how we're going to continue to create more spots for those students that are willing, able, and bring the kind of skill set, but unable to get into the programs right now. So it's funny, we're in a different place than we were 40, 50 years ago, when you didn't have a problem getting into the trade schools and built a great life with that education that you got. Today, it's how do we continue to build that capacity to get the workforce trained, but giving students the opportunity to get something really great for themselves and for their future.
Rick, what would you tell a young person thinking about vocational education, career training?
I think a lot of the problem is, to Tom's point, we lack the capacity. And I think there's nothing worse than placing a kid someplace where they're not going to thrive. I think that the list that you had earlier with North Shore and some of the skills-based programs that they're now starting to teach in. I look at Mass Bay Community College with their automotive program and how many manufacturers they're tied in with. I think that is ultimately going to be the future to help, take care of those capacity issues, because there are so many kids out there that want the skills, and they're not able to go to the right schools where they get them, and they wind up going to a school where it's not going to work out for them.
To follow up on that, Rick, if you don't mind, not to interrupt, but what's happening now, and I know in Lynn, is taking a look at building those partnerships between North Shore Community College and those programs from high school students who may not be at Lynn Tech, but are looking at, there's a long list of those kind of training programs that allow you to get out and do something that you really will enjoy. And so it's thinking outside the box. How do we create those connections between the community of Lynn and North Shore Community College, which I think continues to grow, and give that chance beyond the capacity challenges we're having at North Shore Tech or at Lynn Tech.
Right. And Lynn has actually created a program where there are some kids, some classical and English, that go to classical and English during the day for their academics and go to tech after those hours, almost like the PM program used to be at tech.
They're doing that now. I didn't realize.
They are, but
I teach that program.
You
It's called
do like
After Dark.
After dark, that's right, I've heard of
the
that.
struggle is you can't open it up because they struggle to find enough teachers for the full-time school and to pull people from industry, as Tony said. And we need more and more teachers to come in and teach those programs. So while the city's on track with trying to, create opportunities for kids so that all their educational needs are met, we still have a teacher problem too.
So in reality, they're lucky to be able to get in. That's what I think you're all saying.
And it's a different mindset for them coming from the other high schools. They don't understand that they're walking into a vocational setting where their focus needs to be, I'm here to learn a trade. I'm here to learn a career. Most kids, I teach 11th graders who still have some formative years ahead of them. They need some maturing, but they're doing okay. And they come into me and they chose to be there, and so, but they still haven't made the leap with, this is what I'm going to do for a living. All right, this is an opportunity for me, and it is. But we have them 11th grade, and then my partner Jack takes them in senior year, and he teaches them computer-based CNC equipment, and tries to get them to the point where they will gain certification, a national certification in machining that they can take with them and get a job anywhere. We teach them shop safety, OSHA 10. We teach them MACWIC, which is another Massachusetts certification. So these are things that they wouldn't have an opportunity in their normal academic-based life to achieve and go out there, and they don't have to go to Wendy's and these other places, and they can learn their trade and advance their trade, and then they can go to college if they want. A lot of them do. I'm quite proud of the fact that in the E-team, we now have 3 instructors in our program that are graduates of our program, that went out there, worked in industry for a while, and then came back, and we have a Saturday-based program. They come and they teach in our program on Saturdays. So we're really lucky to have that.
No, right, absolutely. Tom, what's the name of the building in Lynn of North Shore Community College?
The Thomas W. McGee building. It's named after my dad.
And in that building, some amazing things are going on. And the fact, as between Lynn and Danvers, the type of vocational, technical, and career-oriented programs include nurse education. By the way, if anybody has not been in the Danvers facility, they dropped a hospital into the middle of the college. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the dedication. They hire people to come in and say that they have diabetes or whatever illness, and the student has to diagnose it, and it's videotaped from the outside, and the teacher is there and then comes in and instructs the student. It is so high tech, and that health occupations area, nursing education, practical nursing, medical assisting, radiological technology, respiratory care, occupational therapy assistant, physical therapy assistant, health studies. In engineering and STEM, there's engineering technology, construction and building science, biotechnology, high-tech manufacturing management. In business and careers, there's accounting, business administration, healthcare business management, entrepreneurship, digital and social marketing, graphic design, paralegal, fire protection, human services, substance addiction counseling, community health workers, early childhood education, child youth advocate. A lot of those are very similar, are very much like Lynn Tech is offering now, like early childhood or building construction. These are all part of a connection between Lynn Tech, vocational education, and career training training that's taking place at North Shore Community College. Again, the theme today is incredible history and success of vocational and career technical education, perseverance, and a lifelong impact on people who are part of vocational education training today. And also, all the high schools in the city of Lynn may be part of early college. And North Shore Community College is one of the community colleges that are in partnership with the city of Lynn. So a student may be taking a course in carpentry or cosmetology or whatever the course may be, and still take a course and get credits from North Shore Community College. And that's a new trend, and it's named the Thomas W. McGee Building here in the city of Lynn. I'm very proud of that, because I'm very proud to have known the McGee family all of my life. My dad played baseball with yours. I would like to thank...
I'd like just to say, because I think my father really felt strongly as the campus was changing and evolving and it was going up to Danvers, that having a community college in the city of Lynn in an urban setting allowed that kind of relationship that has continued to build between the city of Lynn and beyond. It's not just Lynn, but understanding that making that investment into the city was a really important step for the college to take, and he was strongly advocated for that investment and was able to help facilitate the college coming to Lynn. So he was really proud of both the opportunity to get to school, and it's great that his name is on there, but I think the real legacy is that he wanted to know that Lynn, people in an urban setting that had some challenges, had the opportunity that a suburban setting may offer, but didn't necessarily offer to students in the city. Excuse me. So I just wanted to make that point. It was something that was very important to him, and I think the vision that he had, seeing how it could grow and then make the connections with students in high school and beyond, is reflected in how you laid it out earlier, and what is offered at that school, the price of it, the 2 years you can get in that school and still go on to a 4-year school, and college is quite expensive today. You're getting a real bang for your buck if you're going and taking a look at community colleges, and obviously in Lynn here we're talking about North Shore.
And that gives me a chance to talk about the Lynn Tech alumni. Remember, we all need to be reminded that the Lynn Tech alumni are some of the finest, well-educated businessmen anywhere, any place, anytime. We are very proud of the last Hall of Fame that we just had, in which we showed people like Dale Bennett, was vice president of Lockheed Martin, went to MIT, went to Johns Hopkins, some of the best schools in the country, came out, was a pilot in the Air Force, and then a leader in the field of industry. We have many, many stories to tell like that. Lynn Tech Alumni Association, I'm proud to say that I was there at the founding in 1989. We have had that right up until today. We have wonderful people who are Kelly Papagiorgio, the president of the organization. We have Rick Starbuck, the treasurer, and David Bryson, the secretary. So I would like to show a little bit of the Lynn Tech Alumni Association, Mr. Ron Beckett. Mr. Ron Beckett, the savior of the machine shop at Lynn Tech High School, and I'm honored for several years to have worked closely with his wife Lil and Ron in the founding of the Lynn Tech Alumni Association.
I have spoken to this woman at least once a week during the school year, sometimes 5 times a week, sometimes 25 times a week. She comes to my office, I go to the school. But what I'm trying to say is she has been tireless. Her contribution to LVTI is hard to measure. But I can tell you, she shirks no task. You ask her to do something, it gets done. She works tirelessly. She worked tirelessly for the Alumni Association. She was one of the founding members of the Hall of Fame. She is involved with everything, and she has LVTI tattooed on her chest, I know. And we have the Alumni Association. We got her a little gift. It's a wooden book, actually. No. It is a small token. It's a small token of our appreciation for a mountain of work. It's a clock, and it has an inscription. And I think this sums up what we really want to say about you.
Okay, I would like to thank my hard-working guests. My hard-working guests, beginning with Tony Dunn, the program director of the E-Team Machinist Training Program at Lynn Tech. 30 years in that field. Rick Starbutt, an alumni of Lynn Tech, and the owner of Rick's Auto Collision Sales and Services located in Revere. And it's an excellent facility. And Tom McGee, the chair, the MBTI Board of Directors, and a lifelong family service and legacy to the City of Lynn and vocational education and career training. The theme, a lasting impact on the lives of many people in the City of Lynn.